Here we are, born to be kings. We're the princes of the
Hey there nation, welcome to the show. We help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander CheapSkate, and now it's time for another edition of Warhammer the Golden Age. This is our series of Warhammer 8th edition fantasy battle reports. This is battle report number 35. It is a 2,000 point battle that was fought with Y Army, Grom of the Goblins, versus my buddy Lady Domina of the War Host of Gron, which is a 2,000 point Dark Elf army. So that's right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going back to 2,000 points again for our Warhammer Golden Age battle reports on this one. This time is a good old-fashioned fight of Goblins versus Dark Elves. So what we're going to do real quick is play some background music, show you the army list that what both of us are bringing. If you want to see exactly what we're bringing for armies, feel free to pause it here and take a look at your leisure. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's get it on.
Assemble the army!
So here's a picture of the deployment. As you can see, I'm deployed on the left-hand side of the board. My opponent, Lady Domina, is deployed on the right-hand side of the table. We're going with a diagonal type deployment where we cut the table in half diagonally across the board. As you can see, my forces are pretty much straight, lined up in a complete straight line across the main battle line. And the reason why is because I'm playing Orcs and Goblins. You know, my tactics aren't exactly all that complicated. My job is to get stuck in as quickly as possible, engage in close combat, try to defeat you that way. So pretty simple enough. Pretty much what I decided to do is concentrate my forces onto the flanks. As you can see, I have no real center for my army, and that's because I'm more concerned about protecting my flanks and being outmaneuvered by the Dark Elves because they're very, very fast. So on the left-hand side, you can see I got my Goblin units there with their Fanatics, as well as Grounded Paunch to lend support with leadership. On the right-hand flank, I have my Wolf Riders, as well as my Giant, as well as my Squig Herd with their herders as well, and also got my Sorcerer there, or my Shaman in the back there on top of the Ragnarok Spider in order to lend support as well. And then of course in the back of the tower there, I have my Doomdiver Catapults. My opponent, Lady Domina, across the board from me, as you can see on the left hand side, she has her Cavalry Forces, she has her Dark Riders, as well as her Doomfire Warlocks. Follow up by in the center of the line, she has her Spearman with a huge horde formation of Spearman with the Crown of Command, as well as a Sorcerer with level 2 Sorcerer with the Life Mage back there. And of course she also has her unit of 20 repeater crossbowmen, her Dark Shards. They're also armed with the banner of Eternal Flame too, so that's also pretty good for them. I forgot to mention too, right behind the cavalry on the left hand side, she also has Marathi deployed with her fast cavalry. On the right hand side, on the right hand flank, which is the most important part of her army from what I'm seeing, she's got her Charybdis as well as her War Hydra as well as her Beastmaster on top of a Manticore on the right hand flank. And on the little hill there on the other side of the river, we have her 2 Reaper Bolt Throwers. And that pretty much makes the deployment for this one. Right after that, we have our Vanguard movements. Because both of us have light cavalry forces, they automatically deploy 12 inches forward if they want to, or up to 12 inches. As you can see, Lady Domina took her Doomfire Warlocks, put on the left-hand side of that hill there, getting ready to flank my force on the left-hand side. She also sends up her Dark Riders up 12 inches forward. I think the reason why is because she's planning on popping my Fanatics, making sure I release my Fanatics early, so that way they're not as combat as effective. And of course, on the right-hand side, you see my Wolf Riders. They move up 12 inches, start going to harass her monster choices, kind of stop them from charging, as well as kind of blocking them from marching. And that makes up our Vanguard moves for this one. Alright, so that takes us to top at turn number 1 for the Dark Elves. Lady Domina won the initiative for this battle, of course, so she'll be taking the first turn. As you can see in this picture, the very first thing she does for her move phase, she moves up her Dark Riders first. She marches them up to 8 inches away from, in a way that she's actually 8 inches away from all 3 of my Night Goblin units on the left-hand flank. She does that in order to pop my Fanatics. And as you see, a couple of my Fanatics, all my Fanatics get released. A couple of them go through her Dark Riders, manage to kill 3 of those guys, so that part's kind of cool. But at the same time, though, I kind of release my Fanatics kind of early, so that way they're causing all kinds of chaos here on the left-hand side, but they're not close enough to anything to cause any real damage to our main battle lines, so that part was kind of sad. But then again, you know, that's what light cavalry's for. They're made to do that kind of thing, so pretty expert playing on her part. On the left-hand side, she then moves up her Doomfire Warlocks to the left-hand side, so that way they're in range to cast spells against my entire battle line, so that's kind of scary as well. She marches up her Dread Spears, as you can see there, they're right between the forest as well as the hill at the top of the page. Keeps her Dark Shards where she's at because she's actually in the 24-inch range in order to fire off those repeater crossbows, so that's kind of dangerous. At the same time, she marches Marathi towards the middle of the battlefield, gaining onto the left-hand flank of my Wolf Riders, as well as her Manticore, Beastmaster Manticore, marches them up as well, so that way they have like this pincer attack on my Wolf Riders. I'm pretty guessing she's planning on destroying my unit with magic, so that way they'll stop march blocking her her War Hydra and Charybdis. At the same time, she only moves up her Charybdis as well as her War Hydra up to the river because, unfortunately for them, they can't really go that far because my Wolf Riders are blocking them. And that pretty much makes the move phase on this one.
Klaatu! Veranda!
And next, that takes us to the magic phase. As you can see, Lady Domina decided to take her Doomfire Warlocks and cast the large version of Soul Blight, the one that gives you -1 strength as well as -1 toughness to every enemy unit within 24 inches. As you can see that she rolled like 4 dice in order to get that spell off. She rolled 3 6s on that part, so because of that, she does get a miscast. However, the spell does go off because of that miscast. I'm able to stop that spell and have some pretty devastating results for my army because of that. And as you can see, pretty much every single unit within 24 inches has -1 to their strength and toughness. It affects my Fanatics, affects all my Night Goblin units as well as Ground the Paunch. Also hits my Cave Squigs with their Herders as well as my Shaman on top of the Ragnarok Spider. So that part was absolutely devastating for me because now that makes me more vulnerable to long range fire from her crossbows, which is absolutely devastating on that part. And unfortunately for Lady Domina, when she rolled up on the MS cast table, she rolled double 1, so because of that she had the Dimensional Cascade, where the large template goes off at strength 10, killed all of her Doomfire Warlocks, and to make things worse, when she rolled a d6 to see exactly what happened to her unit champion, which is the guy who's casting the spells, he got devoured to the warp as well. So just like that, she lost one of her units for her rare choices by setting him out like that. However, I think it was pretty effective for her because now most of my forces are now weaker as well as not as strong as well. Or as tough for that matter, so, you know, pretty good gamble for her as far as she's concerned. And to prove how effective it was, as you can see in this picture during the shooting phase, Lady Domina concentrates fire with her Reaper Bolt Throwers, as well as her Repeater Crossbow for her Dark Shards. She goes multi-shots for both units as well. Manages to chop down my huge horde of 40 Night Goblins down to 14 guys just like that. It was absolutely ridiculous the amount of damage I was causing those Night Goblins. But then again, my Night Goblins at this point were only toughness 2 against strength 3 as well as strength 4 attacks. They have no armor saves either, so as you can tell, it pretty much just wiped out that unit and made it combat ineffective at that point. So absolutely devastating shooting phase for me. Really good shooting phase for Lady Domina. Meanwhile, on the right-hand flank, Lady Domina takes her War Hydra, Veers of the Broken, actually opens up with his Fiery Breath onto my Wolf Riders, managed to kill 3 of those guys with Strength 4 attacks. So, actually, it's kind of interesting that she did that, because usually you usually in Warhammer keep your breath weapons from when you get engaged in close combat, because you get 2d6 worth of hits in close combat, but apparently she wanted to get rid of my Wolf Riders. And it actually ended up a pretty good gamble for her, because it caused my Wolf Riders to panic and they're running away now, which is absolutely atrocious for me. I was hoping my Wolf Riders would be able to keep those guys march blocked and not keep them from engaging in close combat with my troops and stop them from charging, but Lady Domina just kind of lit 3 of them on fire with Fiery Breath, and now they're running for the hills. So yeah, that pretty much makes it the shooting phase for Lady Domina. And since none of her forces are engaged in close combat, we go directly to the bottom of turn number 1 for the Goblins. So this is the bottom of turn number 1 for the Goblins. This foe is taken after the move phase. So as you can see, for the most part, I'm kind of scrambling at this point. First thing that we actually do is I eventually fail my recovery for my Fanatics. As you can see, most of them, when they kind of rolled off to see exactly where they're going, either they impacted the hill on the left-hand side, the gradient side on the right-hand side, or they hit the little spikes, the picket lines over there behind them. And so because of that, most of those guys just got killed because they're colliding into other terrain pieces, and a lot of them didn't really make it. A couple of them just kind of scattered up a little bit further, so that's kind of nice because now it kind of creates this nice little blocking line to stop her spearmen from engaging my units, so that part's kind of neat as well. At the same time, if you look at the main line of my battle lines, I just pretty much keep everything located where they're at. I do start scrambling my forces to the right-hand side because that's where most of our monsters are going. The first thing I do is I send up my cave squigs and march out to the center of the battle line. My goal is for these guys to, later on, you have 2 targets to charge into. Either one, they'll take on Marathi because she just kind of hangs around there on the right-hand side, or have them engage one of the monsters so that way they can kind of bog that down as well. I also move up my Hateful Eight to help kind of lend some magical support, as well as Ground to Punch, so that way he can lend some of his combat abilities to fight against some of these characters coming his way. At the same time, I also charge Undead Fred into the Manticore Rider, Base Lord of Kroth of Karan Kar, so that way they're engaged in close combat. And unfortunately, I could not rally my Wolf Riders, and they keep on running away another couple of inches. So that pretty much makes the move phase on this one. During the magic phase, I actually got a lot of spells off during this one. I had a very dominant magic phase on this part. I had rolled up something like 11 dice. Lady Domina had 6 at Dispel. However, I did channel 2 additional ones because of this Catch Web Spider Shrine, giving you bonuses to channel dice, and plus I have the channeling staff. So because that put me up on, I think I had 13 by the time it was done, against 6. So because of that, most of my spells really got off. So the very first thing that I did, of course, I cast Night Shroud. I went for the large bubble where it targets all friendly units within 12 inches. It gives you basically soft cover rules, makes it a little bit harder for you to get engaged in close combat because your opponents will take dangerous terrain tests, and at the same time, it also kind of protects your forces from being shot as well. So you can see it got my Cave Squigs, my Ragnarok Spider, as well as my Wolf Riders, Ground the Paunch, one of my Night Goblin units on the left-hand side, the Backstabbers, as well as Undead Friend the Loon, so that was kind of nice as well. The next spell I got off, of course, was the Gift of the Spider God. Made my Ragnarok Spider and his riders getting a little bit more of an easier time to attack you with their poison attack, so that part was kind of nice as well. However, the big spells that really went off was on the left-hand side. My Shrieking Shroomhead, which is my level 2 Night Goblin Shaman who has the lore of Undeath, he cast both of his spells. The first spell, of course, he cast was Rise, the Grave Call. So because of that, I went for the large one where it was a 16 up, so that way they can summon up 150 points for the Monstrous Infantry. As you see there, I have my 3, what's it called, Crypt Ghasts. So they're called? No, not Crypt Ghasts. Crypt Horrors, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of 9th Age terminology. So I have my 3 Crypt Horrors located right in front of those spearmen, so that way I engage those guys in close combat and then damage them. And then of course I cast Morcom, which is the Breath of Life, and got another one of those, another one of those Crypt Horrors as well. So I have now 4 of those guys kind of deployed right in front of that unit of spearmen, so that I engage them in close combat as well. Like I said, very dominant magic phase. Pretty happy with the results. During the shooting phase, most of my shots are pretty much ineffective against the Dark Shards, outside of the Dark Shards, against the Dread Spears. I forgot to mention the magic phase in the first round. Lady Domina's level 2 Sorcerer of Life that was located in that unit of Dread Spears. She got off Flesh to Stone as well as to Earthblood, so that way those guys have a 5 regeneration score save, as well as +2 to their toughness. I forgot to mention that earlier. So my short bows pretty much just bounced off of them because, they weren't really going to do much of anything against those guys. However, my 2 Doom Tiger Catapult and Kamikaze Boys did manage to flick 3 wounds onto Marathi, so that part was pretty awesome as well. So man, I love Doom Diver Catapults because those things are absolutely destructive. So with the shooting phase over, we go directly to close combat. In the end, the fight between Undead Fred as well as the Beast Lord Rakarth of Karan Kar, they fought it out. That Manticore as well as his Rider Match inflict 4 wounds onto Undead Fred. I only managed to inflict 2 wounds back, so that part was kind of sad. Unfortunately for me though, I had a test for falling, and I failed my fall test, and my giant fell forward. As you can see in this photo, all my attacks are directed against her Beast Lord riding on top of that Manticore. So then when I fell forward, I inflicted another wound on top of that Beast Lord. So because of that, now the Beast Lord is dead. And now the Manticore, when he rolled up on the monster reaction table, he rolled for the stupidity one. So they'll still be fighting it out in close combat. But from this point on, though, the Manticore will have to decide to take stupidity test before it does anything else. So that part was pretty epic as well. Alright, so that takes us to the top of turn number 2 for the Dark Elves after the move phase. As you see, Lady Domina starts engaging most of her forces. The very first thing that she does, she charges in her beast. She actually charges in her Warhydra Veers of the Broken. Unfortunately for me, because I was fleeing, I was still within charging distance. Veers of the Broken ran down my Wolf Fighters and ate them alive and just destroyed them as he just ran over them and just killed everything that was in his path. At the same time, she also sends her Charybdis, Rathric the Maw charging into Undead Friend the Loon. So now those guys have 2-1 odds against my Giant. At this point, I know that my Giant is dead because that Charybdis is designed to kill monsters. That part kind of sucked. At the same time, she also marched up her Marathi, flew her right in the middle of my army, actually, which is actually kind of frightening because she's very, very powerful in magic, and if she gets her way, she's going to destroy all my stuff if I'm not careful, so that part was kind of rough as well. However, on the top of the board, however, she does move back her Dread Spears, actually pulls them back half their inches so that way they don't have to worry about getting engaged in close combat with their Crypt Horrors. So that part was kind of crazy as well. With all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that makes the move phase for this one.
Klaatu! Marada!
Which takes us directly to the magic phase. As you can see in this table here, Marathi decided to cast Orenzapal's Black Horror. She threw 5 dice at that, so she gets the big template, so that way it causes more damage than ever. She rolls all of her dice. As you can see there, she got 2 6s. So because of that, the spell does automatically go off, so she gets the large version of Orenzapal's Black Horror, and it's going to go forward, I believe, 8 inches. So 8 times 4 is, 32. So we'll fly 32 inches forward across my entire main battle line. And just like every single time I run into this spell, I always play some background music so that we can see exactly the damage that took place. So I'm going to play some background music real fast so that we can see exactly what happened to my armies. We'll talk about what happened afterwards. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's get the damage on. As you see, ladies and gentlemen, my entire left-hand flank is completely vaporized. All 3 of my units of Night Goblins took horrendous casualties from Rinzahol's Black Horror. To make things worse, they all fled, and when they all fled off the edge of the table, so they are all completely gone. My forces are completely evaporated. And to make things more interesting, of course, Lady Domina does have the roll of miscast on that. She does get Dimensional Cascade, does put some wounds onto her own wizard, and she also gets sucked into the warp as well. So as you can see that, absolutely terrifying, the amount of destruction that was going to cause. So she does lose Marathi, which is kind of cool for me, but at the same time though, I just lost all my infantry, so things are not looking very good for this battle report. So with magic phase over, we go directly to the shooting phase. In the shooting phase, she decides to open up with her crossbows as well as her repeater crossbows onto all of her crossbows as well as one of her repeater bolt throwers onto my unit of cave squigs. As you can see, they inflicted 9 wounds, killed all of my herders as well as 3 of my cave squigs, which caused these guys to go wild, which means they explode and eat everything around them. As you see in this photo, they just basically ate and devoured the War Hydra alive because of all the wounds they inflict on that guy. So because that Veers of the Broken is dead, and they managed to inflict 1 wound onto my Ragnarok Spider, I was just making my war saves like a boss because I had the Talisman Preservation on that unit as well. So absolutely devastating scene of shooting when it came to that phase. After shooting, we go directly to the combat phase. As you can see in this photo, they had no problem defeating Undead Friend the Loon, so that part was kind of sad he died. However, when the battle actually came over afterwards, Lady Domina failed her stupidity test, so because of that, her Manticore just remains in place, while Rathric the Maw advances forward because he charged in through and destroyed it. It moves up another couple inches, getting closer to my Ragnarok Spider, so that makes up the combat phase on this one. So with all that craziness over, we go directly to the bottom turn number 2 for the Goblins, and that's right, ladies and gentlemen, we're only in turn 2 of this battle report. As you can see, I'm pretty much scrambling at this point because all I really have left are my Doomdiver catapults, my 2 large units of my Ragnarok Spider, as well as Ground the Paunch, as well as my Crypt Horrors. So because I take Ground the Paunch, as well as my Hateful Eight, I'm moving back a couple inches so that way they're not worried about getting charged at Wrathwreck the Maw. My plan is to isolate that monster so that way my Doomdiver catapults can kind of fire, and at the same time take out that monster as well, so they really have to worry about it too much. At the same time, I also charge in my Crypt Horrors that I summoned up with the Shrink and Shroom Head and charge directly into those Dread Spears, because if I'm going to finish off that unit with those guys, this is the best I can really do that. At the same time, my Ambushers for Snaggle Grobspit as well as the Death Creepers, they pop in the upper right hand corner to engage those Bolt Throwers. And that pretty much makes it the move phase for this one. Unfortunately, magic was a wash because I rolled 2 1s on the magic phase, so because I got broken concentration. But in the shooting phase, both my Doomdiver catapults targeted Wrathwreck the Maw, managed to kill that guy right off the table, so that part was pretty epic as well. Those Doomdiver catapults are extremely powerful because you don't get any armor saves against those, so it was absolutely terrifying to see my Doomdiver catapults kind of dive bomb in and just skewer that guy and kill him for all of his worth. So that part was pretty awesome as well. Alright, so with the shooting phase over, we go directly to the combat phase, and this close combat between these Crypt Horrors as well as this huge unit of Dread Spears was absolutely terrible in that part. They managed to kill 2 of my Crypt Horrors. I only managed to kill 1 Spearman out of the entire process of fighting. I just rolled terribly for my attacks as well. In the end, as you can see, that they had a combat result of 11 against my combat score of, I think, 2 is what ended up happening, so because I automatically break. Now, because I am undead, I really don't have to worry about taking a break test and fleeing, because what ends up happening is that you take the point difference in your results, you take that many wounds away. Well, needless to say, Crypt Horrors only have 3 wounds apiece, so because of that, my entire unit of Crypt Horrors gets vaporized just like that. As you can see, this is the picture that shows the result afterwards. The Dread Spears only lost 1 guy, and that was absolutely terrifying what happened to my troops. So that takes us directly to the top of turn number 3 for the Dark Elves. This photo is taken directly after the move phase. As you can see, for the most part, the first thing that she does, she tests her leadership test for her Manticore, passes that, so because he's no longer stupid, and also manages to charge and makes the charge rage directly into Ground the Paunch. So now my generals engage in close combat with a kill crazy Manticore, which is always a bad thing. At the same time, she also marches up her Dread Spears to get kind of closer, so that way she can take on my Ragnarok Spider as well. She keeps her Dark Shards as well as a Bolt Throwers back because, you know, they're shooting, so there's really no point in making them move, and that pretty much makes it the move phase for her on this one. Magic phase for her was kind of a wash. She rolled like a 3, I think, so she rolled up for a total dice total, and I had 2 of those dice. I managed to just spill over spells, so nothing really happened much in the magic phase. However, in the shooting phase, she does take one of her Bolt Throwers, opens up with the repeater bolts onto my unit of Spider Riders. As you can see, she killed 4 of those guys. Unfortunately for me, I failed the panic test for those guys to see if they run away. And just like that, Snaggle Grobspit as well as the Death Creepers fly off the board. So that was absolutely terrifying and also kind of bad too. At this point, I'm really realizing that there's no way I'm going to win this battle report at this point because things are not looking very good for me at this point. During the shooting phase, she concentrates fires with all of her Dark Shards, as well as using her Bolt Thrower, just firing the single bolt, and they managed to put enough wounds on there to kill my entire arm, kill my Ragnarok Spider. When it came to my dice rolling for my ward saves, I rolled a bunch of 1s and a bunch of 2s, so because none of that really stopped it. My opponent laid down, she was rolling out of the box for a winning roll, she was rolling a bunch of 5s and 6s, so it was absolutely terrifying. So because of that, there he is, the Hateful Eight, just kind of crawled like the bug that he is, because now he is dead. And as you can imagine, the combat between the Manticore as well as Ground the Paunch didn't do very well either, so because of that, Ground the Paunch got defeated in close combat. I actually had to flee because I actually lost combat result. I think I lost by 3, and unfortunately for me, I just failed my leadership test like a chump. So because of that, he went to go run away. The Manticore, of course, pursued. We rolled off. He actually got a higher score than I did, so because of that, Ground the Paunch got chased down and defeated real quick by the Manticore. So things are done horribly for my army at this point. And as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, that takes us directly to the end of the game. The only thing I have left on my table are my 2 Doomdiver catapults. Everything else, all my infantry units, my monsters, everything else just got eaten alive and killed. So because of that, it takes us directly to the end of the battle report. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to the after action report and talk about exactly where things went wrong.
I thought about staying. They offered me the chance to lead them, to teach them, to be king.
Uh-huh.
But my place is here, so I swallowed the juice, said the words, and here I am.
Did you say the words right this time?
Well, maybe I didn't say every single tiny little syllable, no, but basically I said them, yeah. Basically.
Alright folks, now it's time for the After Action Report. This is the part of the battle report we talk about what went well, what went poorly, and what we can learn from the next time that we do battle. This is the After Action Report for Warhammer the Golden Age, battle report number 35. It ended up being a defeat for yours truly, so sad face. In the end, my losses, I lost everything except for my Doomdiver catapults because they are boss, because the things are amazing. However, for Lady Domina, she lost Marathi, Beastlow Rakarth of Karan Kar, the Shadowrunners, Virzo the Broken, Wrathwick the Maw, as well as the Shacklemore Seers. And the reason why I lost was for one simple reason. I played too defensively and I hesitated. That was a problem. I did not fight like a goblin should. Because of that, I did not use cunning and backstabbing tactics and gang up and destroy my enemy. What I try to do is fight things one-on-one, and that's always a bad idea to play with when you're playing Orcs and Goblins. In the end, I should have reversed my deployment. I don't know what I was thinking. I should have put my monsters up against his infantry unit, her infantry units, and my infantry units against her monsters. That would have made a huge difference because then I would destroy right through her soft targets at the same time. My infantry could bog down her monsters as well. However, on the plus side, my shooting my Doomdiver catapults was absolutely amazing as always because those things are always cool. Another thing that also kind of stuck it to me is Dark Elf magic. Things like Arenza Paul's Black Horror will always be the bane of my existence because that spell is just crazy sauce and there's no way around it, so that thing was kind of fun as well. As always, it was a fun game. I had a fun time playing against Lady Domina, and as always, I always love the rematches with my friends. So, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, please feel free to like, comment, and or subscribe. Your guys' input is always appreciated. Also, check us out on Facebook as well as Google Plus and Instagram for all the latest and greatest of what we're doing for our battle reports and for our hobbies. Remember, we alternate every other week with fantasy battle reports with Warhammer Age of Sigmar and Warhammer the Golden Age with our 8th edition fantasy battle reports, as well as sci-fi weeks where we alternate between Warhammer 40,000 as well as Necromunda. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we will catch you on the flip side. You guys stay classy. Peace out.